What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel. And this morning I woke to the dread news that a European superpower is ready to make Arsenal an offer we cannot refuse for our star boy, Bukayo Saka. Paris Saint-Germain, it is reported, are ready to offer 140 million euros for our right winger. And we will not be able to turn it down. And who is reporting this? Well, none other than Fichajes, the Spanish media outlet who were the first people to break the story that Camavinga was going to Liverpool, shortly after they'd broken the story that he was going to Manchester United. The same Fichajes who told us that Rodrigo was going to Liverpool. Federico Chiesa was on his way to Chelsea. That Leao is moving to Manchester City, and that Calvin Phillips would be coming to Arsenal. I've got to be honest with you guys. I've done a lot of scraping through transfer stories during the transfer windows to bring you content, to go through, picking through it to see if there's any credibility at all. I usually look for more than one source. And it's been my experience that whenever Fichajes say something is about to happen, you can almost certainly count on it not happening. And that's not me trying to denigrate Fichajes. I'm not. You know, they're doing their job. As far as I can see, though, their job is pulling the name of a player out of a hat and the name of a team out of a hat, sticking it together with a headline, and then hoping that everybody forgets in a day or two when they have a completely different headline. It must be maddening to work somewhere where all you talk about is the transfers. And I do just want to say, as a side note, as Arsenal fans, we have plenty to talk about without being linked with Guy Corres and whether Ivan Toney is on or off. There's no transfer window right now. And I also want to say, as a side note, that even though it was disappointing that we didn't bring in anyone in the January transfer window that was stifled by profit and sustainability and everybody trying their best to stay within these weird rules and regulations, there was hardly any movement anywhere, and I at first was really disappointed. I'm starting to come round to the idea that this January transfer window just gone, where we signed no one, might have been one of the best transfer windows we've ever had. Because instead of bringing some new blood into the team and unsettling the squad, Arteta, Edu and everyone else responsible at Arsenal decided to bring the team together with their families, create a harmony, or as Arteta always talks about, unity. And I think that we're seeing the benefits of that. It's hard for me to imagine how, had we signed Ivan Toney, we would have scored more goals. I'm interrupting this highly enjoyable video to ask you to take this moment to click the like button, because nothing you do watching this video makes a bigger impact. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? You're running out of time to be in the first 1,000 subscribers. Get on with it! Maybe we would have scored 10 against Sheffield United. I'm not sure what difference it would make. We're already the league's top goal-scoring team. It's already looking slightly ridiculous how much time was spent saying that we desperately need a striker. Because if we do, then surely everybody else does as well. And that includes the teams who have one. No, the transfer window just gone was a non-starter, but they still have to print stories. And now that there is no transfer window, they still have to print stories. Personally, I'm not in the least bit interested who's going to be in an Arsenal shirt in summer. I'm still fixated on what's going to happen for the rest of the season. But I've also avoided the discussion point, which seems to be really popular at the moment, comparing between Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden. Now, I think it's a little bit chocolate and vanilla, this one. You either like chocolate and you can't understand people who would prefer vanilla, or you like vanilla and you can't understand people who prefer chocolate. But either way, you probably love both of them, right? And I kind of feel like that. Isn't it a shame they can't both play in the same team? Oh, hang on, they do. They play for England. This is going to be a great tournament for England. Bellingham, Foden, Saka, Declan Rice. It's going to be great. But way before that, we still have the small matter of the league running, the three-horse race, which I think everyone has to accept as a three-horse race now. But forgive me, I'm going to pander to this narrative a little bit longer. I'm going to say to Rio Ferdinand, who I know watches this channel avidly, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get some interest, garner some interest. I'm sure people who pay you to be on television have said, raise your profile a little bit, get lots of clicks, say stuff that you don't necessarily mean or believe, and say it often and see what happens. And so the conversation has become, is Bukayo Saka world class? And like most problems of communication, we haven't all agreed yet what world class would mean. But it does strike me as interesting that in saying that Saka isn't world class, you do have to wonder what Paris Saint-Germain are doing, thinking about offering 140 million. I know I'm acting as if this is at all true. There are other reasons to suppose that that Saka is likely to not go to Paris Saint-Germain. One is that this story comes at a time when they've kind of torn up the whole spend 200 million, 150 million. After all, Mbappe leaving this summer on a free has proven that strategy didn't work. And with Luis Enrique in there, yes, they've spent some money, but they've already got Ousmane Dembele on the right wing, and he cost them just shy of 50 million. They signed Marco Asensio on a free transfer. They have spent some money up front, but it's not money like they used to spend. And so it doesn't fit what they would do or where they need to sign players. Luis Enrique will do a really good job there, but it's clear that he's been brought in to do a good job building a squad without spending overly lavishly. They're always going to spend a lot, but not in the way they used to. And the other thing here to note is that this story is more appropriate for an Arsenal of 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. As Arsenal fans who've been following the club for any amount of time at all, we know what it was like to have a player come through and be worried all the time that he might one day leave. Whether it was Barcelona that came calling or Manchester City, we had that feeling at all times that if a player did really well at Arsenal, he might have to leave, as Van Persie did, to go and win a title. I'm not sure that's still the case. Nobody is. To all the people who've sent me emails and comments saying that Arsenal will definitely not win the league, I don't remember asking your opinion. Nobody knows who's going to win the league right now. May I suggest, if you're 100% certain of your prediction, you do what any intelligent person would do and you go to a bookmaker's with some money and you look forward to a healthy and handsome return. I'm not interested in people's opinion on who's going to win the title because I know, as all intelligent and sensible people know, that nobody knows. But I do find it interesting that Bukayo Saka is being compared to Phil Foden, and Rio Ferdinand, or at least Rio Ferdinand, could say that one is world class when the other is not, when there's so little between their stats. And I am reminded every time I use the word stats that there are a great number of people out there who say, well, I use my eye test. I don't look at the relative stats. Yes, you do. Everybody does. I mean, who watches football and doesn't comment on the number of goals somebody scored? Just a quick breakdown of this season so far. I'll put the stats up. As you can see, Foden's played 27 games. Bukayo Saka's played 26 games. Saka's on 13 goals. Foden's on 11. 8 assists for Saka. 7 for Foden. Key passes during a game. Saka 2.5. Foden 2.1. 32 passes completed in a game. Average, and Foden on 42, reflecting, I think, some of these stats reflect they do play in slightly different positions. Saka with 1.9 tackles a game, Foden with 1.7. Saka wins 5.2 of his ground duels, Foden 3.8. Aerial duels is 0.7 to Saka, 0.2 to Phil Foden. Big chances created, Saka 13, Foden 9. Big chances missed. This round goes to Foden, no question. Bukayo Saka's missed 9 big chances and Foden has only missed 5. Possession won in the final third, 1.2 times per game for Saka, only 1 for Foden. And touches, listen, it really is a close thing. It isn't important which one of these two players is better. This is what's really important. Is there an amount of money that Arsenal could really accept for Bukayo Saka, knowing that they have to go out and buy someone? I mean, unless you're going to be signing Foden from Manchester City, or look, you can say Mohamed Salah's a better player than Saka. I would take that. Saka's 22 years old. The more important statistics, if we are talking about statistics for Saka, is that in almost every single metric compared to last season, he's improving. So he has not reached his ceiling yet. Whereas I think you can say with Mohamed Salah, he has. What would Saka fetch on the open market? Well, if you go to Transfermarkt, you see it's about 120 million, which I think has influenced the Fichajes article somewhat. But come on, do you really think that we would sell Bukayo Saka, our star boy, been at the club since he was 8, was recently filmed saying the club is too much in his heart, has never given us any doubt at all of how passionate he is about the club, signed a new contract, every possible way he could prove that he plays for the badge, for the team. He's done it. And yet we're going to take 140 million, which frankly in today's market is not enough to really make a difference. If we don't go on and win the title this season, and I accept it's a possibility because I'm not saying that I'm definitely sure we're going to win it because I just don't know yet, but what if we do win it? Would you sell one of the key reasons? Beyond all the other statistics, there is the fact that Saka has been responsible in goal contributions for 1/3 of our Premier League goals. How much would it cost you to take 1/3 of our goals away and replace it with, I don't know, Anthony at 90 million? Who would we buy? I want to hear from you in the comments. I want you to let me know if you, for a moment, think there's any truth to the idea that Bukayo Saka would leave, or that we would take a smaller figure as 140 million and assume that that's an offer we can't turn down, given that we just spent 105 million on Declan Rice. And those two seem to get on really well. Bukayo Saka, I understand when people say he's not world class yet. I don't know what the definition of world class is. For me, world class is a player who could play in any side in the world. And perhaps Bukayo Saka is a little short of that. And maybe there are a handful of clubs he wouldn't get into. But in the Premier League, I'm pretty certain that Pep Guardiola would bite your hand off for him. And Man City have money. He'd definitely get into the Manchester United squad. Perhaps Liverpool, he'd have to play second fiddle to Mo Salah. But I think we all know Mo Salah's on his way with Klopp at the end of this season. So, having woken up to this breaking story, I've managed to calm myself down by remembering that Fichajes telling me something is going to happen is almost like a cast iron guarantee that it won't. And that is what I am going to stick my neck on the line and say today, that Bukayo Saka is not leaving for 140 million because Paris Saint-Germain want to replace Mbappe. And finally, just finally, can the two things exist as truths in the same universe? Bukayo Saka is not world class, but Paris Saint-Germain can think of no better replacement for one of the world's most expensive ever strikers than Bukayo Saka. I really want your help, actually. I want you in the comments below. Let's start our own ridiculous transfer rumour. Let's start our own ridiculous transfer rumour on this site, see how far we can get it to go. I want to hear from you. What player you think will go to what club, and obviously not really go there. I want to know who you think is the most ridiculous idea that we can sell. Anthony to Manchester City in massive swoop, 180 million. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching so far. It's been a great week on the channel. I thank all of you recent subscribers for joining. Get involved, help make this a community of people, a little island of sanity in an otherwise loud and noxious, fuming mess of nonsense. Until I see you again. Be lucky. Lots of love.